Hello, and welcome to another episode of the TC Plus Show. Today, we have a special guest, Nate. And why are you laughing, Tyler?
It just, I don't know.
Did I mess that intro
weird.
up?
It felt a little
Yeah.
weird. But hey, listen, we won't be this awkward all show, I promise.
Excited to have you.
Yeah. Hey.
Yes.
Good to be here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're just going to jump right in.
Well, actually, can I make an apology first?
Oh, sure.
I apologize to anyone over the age of 28, we'll say, for the last episode.
Okay.
It was a little off the rails compared to the regular Corey and I episodes. I knew that was going to happen. I just want to make an apology if you were an older person and, well, okay, not old, that's mean.
More experience.
More experienced person, and you didn't quite understand what was going on with the children, and that's understandable. I didn't understand what was going on either, but you know, just we're gonna be calm again now.
Okay.
That's all I need to say.
Nate's the kind of guy that might wrestle. I don't know.
Okay.
Depending what we do.
Okay. All right. He's willing to break out the big guns.
Very good.
All right.
So, that's it.
Hop in.
That's it. All right.
Hop in, baby.
All
Let's
right.
go. Let's ride.
So, our first part, we've got 3 quick questions for you.
Yeah.
And I get 2 questions. Tyler has 1. One question I had for you, it was like, you're a married man, right?
Yes.
So, I was like, how did you meet your wife? I was thinking about.
Oh.
Good old fashioned love story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's hear that one.
That is a pretty long story.
How
How much time do you have?
I'd say just give us a good little
brief.
Yeah.
Yes. So we met in Dryden, Ontario, when I was at Beaver Lake Camp, and Rosie was on PWTC, which is Personal Workers Training Camp, I think is what it's called. And so we met there first, and we seen each other at Beaver Lake 2 summers in a row, and then but didn't have much interaction. And then we both went to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and spent 2.5 years on the same team as personal workers in Thunder Bay.
Interesting.
You guys just couldn't escape each other.
That's probably how it worked, yeah.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, you guys are the 2 only viable options left. Okay, no.
Well, you're not.
That's
well,
me.
no,
No,
it's
that's
not,
me. That's
it's
me.
not
That's
that.
right.
No, but there was a number of years between Thunder Bay and when we started dating.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was going to
Which-
ask how, like, where did the actual connection then happen after that?
Oh dear.
You have to write her a letter?
No. Oh, we went to what was it? Some kind of it was a Christian, I don't know, workshop or what was it or conference maybe down in Atlanta.
Okay.
And she was living in South Carolina. And so my cousin was along. There's a few other people, and we went over to visit Rosie after the conference. That's what it was.
Interesting.
And so then we seen each other there again. But yeah,
Cool.
I think it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we will say that for sure. Yeah.
Tyler.
All right. My quick question is there any place you want to visit before you die?
Oh, any place I want to visit.
Not that you're close to
before I
death.
die.
Not that you're close to
Well,
death.
you never know.
Yeah, it's tough to... Well, okay, I don't
Yeah.
know that you're close to death.
A place I'd like to visit before I die. There are a lot of places I'd like to visit. I've always wanted to go to Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, not always. Since having a chance to backpack Europe about 15 years ago, we met a lot of really cool Irish people.
Nice.
And I'd like to visit Ireland.
That's a fantastic choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too.
Backpacking
Ireland?
Europe or
Yeah.
visiting
No,
Ireland?
Ireland. Like,
Okay.
Ireland and Switzerland are 2 places I think would be fun to see.
Yeah, I had a chance to go to Switzerland.
Nice.
My family's from there, and we went to the farm
Cool.
so that was neat.
Yeah.
So, what age were you when you backpacked?
You're going to make me think here.
Yeah.
I think I was about 24,
Okay.
25.
Did
something
you
like
do
that.
it on like a budget, or did you
Oh,
save up
yes.
for a while? And
It was on a budget.
Yeah.
So I was in Thunder Bay, yeah, voluntary service for 3 years. And a month after I got home, we left. And it was James Kipfer and I. And a month after we got back home, he got married.
Okay.
And
Nice.
so, do you follow what's going on there? It's two broke guys traveling Europe for a month.
Yeah.
And Europe isn't cheap.
No, you got any tips for me? You know, because I want to go
Yeah.
there for a while. But
Hostels
hostels, yeah.
and
Earplugs?
actually, you know what? We had
Pretty
really
good.
good luck. You can
Nice.
get like private hostel, like private rooms. And the one that was the best was we had our own room with a huge window, or was it a door? And it was in Paris, and the Eiffel Tower was right, like dead center in
Nice.
the middle of the door.
So you
It
got
was
like an Eiffel Tower view?
Yes,
That's crazy.
in Paris,
Yeah.
for €18.
Nice.
So that's
cheap.
about, I think that's about $24.
Yeah. It's not a bad
Canadian.
deal. Not
Yeah.
a bad deal at all.
And so
Very good. So my next question for you is, what's the most unusual thing you've ever eaten?
Would you say
Or
you're an
even
adventurous
just-
eater?
yeah,
I feel, yeah,
I'll
I feel like
try anything once.
Yeah.
When I was up north, I was on a First Nations reserve, and there was a guy, an older fella, and he looked very experienced. Like you could just tell his hands were big and rough, and he just looked like he was one of those experienced guys. And he was cooking something over the fire, and I was like, "Hey, what are you cooking?" And he just kind of grunted and smiled, and I was like, like, are you going to eat it? Because I wasn't sure, after that response, I was like, what is it? What are you doing? He's like, do you want to try some? I was like, yeah, I want to try some. And he just smiled, and he kept cooking away. And after a bit, he's like, you sure you want to try some? I was like, yeah. Are you going to eat it? He's like, yeah.
At this
And-
point, you should be kind of scared.
Yeah. So I tried some, and it wasn't bad, but I could tell right away that it was some kind of it was an organ meat from something. And it was a moose kidney. And then he also, in another pot, he had beaver cooking. And those two things, yeah,
moose kidney.
those are the two things that pop out at me.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
That's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and beaver tail. He was also, later on, after I tried that, he also got me to try beaver tail.
Like legitimate beaver tail.
Yes.
Okay,
Like
so
not the
Yeah,
pastry.
I didn't know. I didn't
This
know
is
that people
like the-
actually. So I thought when I was a kid that beaver tails were beaver tails.
Mm-hmm.
Now they were just a pastry, so I was scared of them. But I didn't know people actually ate the tails of beavers.
Yeah. So there's not much to it other than like fat and cartilage, and you peel the skin off, just like you're peeling the skin off of a cow tongue or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds appetizing.
It's not. It does not. No. One thing I've thought of is like, for those small or like for those like, there's tons of different animals out there. How different do they all taste? Like, what does beaver taste like? Does it taste like its own differentiated thing, or is it just like I've always heard of everyone describing things as chicken? You know,
Yeah.
just-
No, this isn't chicken.
No. Okay.
Have you ever taken a bite of or gotten pine tar on your hands and you tasted it?
I didn't. No, I didn't taste it. That's
Or
for sure.
like you got it in your mouth, or you tasted like a pine branch, or like the needles.
I can imagine what it would taste like. I think.
Okay, that's
That's what beaver tastes
it
like.
kind of gives, it's got a hint of that.
You are what you eat, eh?
Interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are what you eat for sure.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
Cool.
there's probably other stuff that I've eaten, but that's the first thing
Yeah.
that came to mind.
Yeah, that's more interesting than the majority of us. Like,
Yeah.
I've never had a moose kidney.
No, I don't know that I want to have a moose kidney either.
Yeah.
But I respect you for trying it. That's for sure.
It's good. All right, I wouldn't eat it every day. but
Yeah.
it was all right.
So the next part of our section here, next section, I guess, not part of our section, is the book of questions. So what we do is we fan through here, stop, I point, you tell me when to stop. I point, and then it's a question. You
Okay.
can pass up to 2 times, so like you can potentially have 3 questions.
Okay,
You can
But like
decide when
you decide which one you do.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
but not at the end. You can't go back.
Oh, okay.
We're not very good at explaining the rules yet, but it's pretty simple.
Okay.
All right, you good to go?
Go ahead. This is dramatic.
Yeah.
You have to tell me when to
Oh,
stop.
I do. Well, you didn't say anything about that.
My apologies.
All right.
Let's try again.
Yep. Stop.
All right.
There. Yep.
Have you ever Googled yourself or a family member?
Oh, I've Googled myself.
You find anything good?
You know what? Most of it was good. It was back when I was still running the horse-drawn tours.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got a few video clips of myself there.
Nice.
Oh, nice. So you're actually kind of famous out there.
No.
When I tried Googling myself, it just brought up my Facebook profile, so that was,
Okay.
that was a little boring. But
I'm not on Facebook, so I couldn't do that.
yeah.
So, for food for thought, my question was, I thought it could be interesting because I think you've been kind of in the production of both of these. If you would have to get rid of one of these things for the rest of your life, which one would it be? Maple syrup or honey?
That's a tough one for the guy. Come on, man.
If I had to get rid of one,
Yeah, no more. You're allergic to it.
okay, it would be honey.
Okay.
As crazy as that sounds,
Yeah.
but I just feel like I eat a lot more maple syrup on stuff than
Yeah.
I do honey.
What about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really eat honey ever
Oh,
that I
okay.
know of. I mean, I'm sure it's in stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I'd never out here putting honey on stuff. And it's not because I don't like it. I just don't, I guess. So I'm keeping maple syrup.
No.
I feel like culturally, we don't eat as much honey as some cultures.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would tend to agree there.
Makes sense. Anyways, talking about honey, the reason we have Nate here today
Yes.
is because we want to talk about bees.
The birds and the bees.
It's just the bees.
Just the bees.
And yeah, I've chatted with you here and there a bit about bees, and I always find it very fascinating, and I thought everyone else would and should hear about all the fascinating things of bees. So, can you think of any bee puns right off the get go there, Tyler or Nate? Do you got any bee
Oh,
puns?
I have a bee joke I just thought
Okay.
of. So I work with this dude who says just the lamest jokes at any random time. He's like, I don't know, he's an older fella. But not too old if he's listening, because he sometimes listens. So you're perfectly aged. He'll just run up to you and just say a bee joke, or say
A joke.
a dad joke that just
Yeah.
makes you go, okay. But anyways, one of his jokes here was, so he's like, I went to the beekeeper the other day, and I went to go buy a dozen of bees, and as I picked them up, I counted the bees, and I was like, no, there's 13 bees. Okay, that makes sense. Baker's dozen. I was like, so why do you have 13 bees? And the beekeeper said, oh, no, it's a freebie.
yeah.
Yeah, freebie.
I didn't tell it quite perfectly, but that was kind of the gist of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's a bee joke.
I don't think I can top that.
Okay, good. Fair enough.
I've got a bunch of bee jokes.
I kind of figured you did.
Yeah. What's a bee's favorite sport?
I don't know, man.
Rugby.
Rugby. That's good.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
What do you call a bee that won't shut up? Blabby.
Yeah,
Are all these just using the Y on the end of a word? But
Basically.
That's so
Still doing better than what you did, right?
no.
All right,
No.
come up with one, Tyler.
No, I don't
Oh,
want
okay.
to. I don't
All
want to.
What does a bee use to style its hair?
Gel bee.
A honeycomb.
a honeycomb.
Okay,
Oh,
that's actually that one's better. That
one's better. Yeah.
yeah. Just because it didn't use the bee thing.
Why did the bee go to the doctor?
Don't know.
It had hives.
That's also a decent one.
That one's not bad.
What's a bee's favorite haircut?
No idea.
A buzz cut.
Bam, you got it.
You got it. Nice.
He's
Way to
winning.
down through.
This
That's
just,
good.
What do you call a wasp?
A wasp.
A wannabe.
I was not bad either. Guys.
And the very last one I have here. What does a bee call its backup plan? What do you call a backup plan?
Plan B.
Boom.
Oh,
Got it.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very well.
Nate's on these things.
Yes.
I mean, he should be. You know, he's
Yeah,
the
I think
beekeeper.
about him all the time.
Yeah, he's got to have an advantage. It's home
bee
field turf.
Yeah.
All the 40-year-old dads are gonna love that, man. I appreciate that segment for them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And maybe that's why I have the advantage.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because you're in that age group.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got a bunch of questions for you to kind of get
Yeah.
just thinking about bees, and you also got some props. So you just let us know when you want to show us what.
A little bit of show and tell
Okay.
going on here.
And yeah, that plate, we'll do something with that too. Then something.
Sure.
All
yeah.
right. So we know that bees live in hives, right? But there's different types of bees in the hive. And so I was wondering if you could explain a bit, first of all, how many kinds of bees or types of bees or genders of bees or whatever it's called there
Sure.
are that live in a hive.
All right. And maybe before we go there, I should make a little disclaimer that
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm that experienced in beekeeping.
Fair enough.
I've learned over the years that the more you learn, the less you feel you know.
Yep.
There's a lot more to learn.
Yep.
And so that's kind of where I find myself. I've only been beekeeping for about 4 years, so I feel like I'm a bit of a rookie.
Yep.
Okay.
But getting back to your question, in a hive, there's really three different kinds of bees, or 3 different types of bees. Is that maybe the best way to say it? The one that's the most popular is probably the queen. And so she takes care of all the reproduction. There's only one queen in a hive. And then there's the worker bees. And the worker bees, they do a lot of the tasks in the hive. And there could be quite a few of them. A hive could have up to, anywhere from 40 to 80,000 bees in a hive. So
That's a lot of
there's a
bees.
lot of bees.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the drone bee, and that's the male. And the male his sole purpose is to mate with the queen. So he carries on the genetics or helps to carry on the genetics of the hive. Yeah.
So if we dive into a little deeper into like each of those roles, like what does the queen like actually do on a normal day?
So it depends on the time of the year.
Why are you
The
laughing,
daily
Tyler?
routine. What's
Yeah,
the
what-
daily routine?
Yeah, what's
you know?
going on in the
Day in the
queen's
life of the queen
Yeah.
bee.
Yeah.
Let's make a vlog out of this.
You probably could actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the queen, it depends on the time of year, but springtime is by far the busiest because that's when she's building up the hive.
Okay.
So in the winter, the hive gets really small. Or
And
the
when you
number of-
say hi, that's number of bees.
number of bees in the
Okay.
hive is how I should say
Yeah.
it, because the hive itself is the same size, but the
Okay.
number of bees fluctuates. And so, in this over the winter, you might have between 2,000 to 6,000 bees maybe in the hive, which sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot. It doesn't look like a lot. And then as the weather gets nice, the pollen starts coming in, nectar run starts. Pollen is what really dictates or starts, how do you say it? The queen needs pollen to reproduce or to start laying eggs.
Okay.
So pollen is what they're really waiting for. But as soon as the pollen starts coming in, she'll start laying eggs. And at some points in the springtime, when the pollen run is really strong, she can be laying up to 2,000 eggs a day, which is pretty intense.
I can imagine for sure.
And
It's a
so
grind.
in 18 to 22 days after that, you'll have 2,000 bees hatching in one day, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if she does that consistently for 20 days, I'm not going to do the math here, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You soon go from a small amount of bees to a huge amount of bees in the hive. She'll go through and she'll inspect each cell. And if the cell is clean enough, she'll lay an egg. And if it's not clean enough, not the nurse bees, but the cleaning bees need to go and clean the cell better for her before she'll lay an egg.
Interesting.
I was doing a little bit of math here,
Yeah.
which I'm trying to figure out.
So it's like
1.38.
Yeah,
1.38 bees per minute.
Eggs per
Eggs per minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That's good work right there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And each egg is laid in a different
Different cell.
cell.
Okay.
Yes. There are times that you'll be going through the hive, and it's usually if the queen's not doing real well, you'll see 2 eggs per, like in some cells, but that's not common.
Like getting a little lazy or something.
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
She just wanted twins, is what she wanted.
Yeah. Interesting.
The question is, would they look alike?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I mean, they all look alike to me.
And then we move on to the worker bee, and what are they working on?
Yeah. So right at as soon as they hatch, they would be nurse bees and cleaner bees. Like they clean cells,
Okay.
and they're doing housekeeping things in the hive.
So if one bee like hatches out of a cell, do they go and clean that cell
They actually clean that cell first
themselves? Okay.
They clean that cell, and then they'll go around and start cleaning other cells.
Yeah.
And then they'll also be taking care of other pupa and larvae mostly larvae, because when it gets to the pupa stage, it'll soon be covered over with a wax coating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the nurse, what are
The nurse bee would be taking care of the larva,
okay?
and anything that's
Interesting.
growing in the hive. And by the time they're, I think it's 14 days old. I could be wrong on that. It's between 14 and 21 days. When they get to that age, they'll start going out of the hive, and then they'll start like gathering and bringing stuff into the hive for the rest of the.
Is there scout bees?
There are,
Okay.
yeah.
Why are you laughing, Tyler?
I just love what, I don't know. It's
Because
funny.
like
It's funny to
their
me.
ants are like they're kind of colonies too, and they've got like scouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing with a bee is they can fly. Some people would say up to 10K. I think it's more accurate that they can fly 5. They won't go too much further than 5 kilometers. But if you can imagine a scout going out, finding flower or nectar, pollen, whatever it is, in a certain spot, they fly back to the hive. They can tell them what direction to fly and how far to fly to find that
Patch of flowers or whatever.
resource,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is actually
And
awesome.
it's all by doing a dance. And I have no idea what that looks like. I haven't seen it
Wait,
firsthand,
that's
but
awesome. So that's how they
Yeah.
communicate is through dancing.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. And so okay, and then you said the drones are merely for reproduction.
That's right. Yeah. And so a queen only mates once in its lifetime. And a queen can live for typically 2 to 3 years, sometimes up to 5 years. But I don't think that is too common.
Interesting.
And so only when she is a virgin queen will she mate. And they go on their mating flight. Some people would say that they fly, and I don't know how they've ever figured this out, but they'd say they would mate about 1 kilometer up, like in the
Interesting.
sky.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know how that, yeah.
Science, baby.
Yeah, how would they figure that
Yeah.
out? But I'm going to leave that up to them. But yeah, she would mate with anywhere from 10 to 20 drones,
Interesting.
and it's to try to diversify.
Yeah. Cool.
Intriguing.
So, how do is it by chance? Like, so when humans have babies, we get male or female, kind of by chance, sort of. And is that how bees are made too, or
No.
Okay.
So a drone would come from an unfertilized egg.
Okay.
And I don't totally understand that.
Interesting.
Like where that all fits in. But and then the worker bee and the queen bee would come from a fertilized egg. The difference between a worker bee and a queen bee is what the egg is being fed. And so if you would go into a hive and pinch the queen or kill the queen, which isn't a great idea unless she's not doing well. But if the queen would die for some reason, some would say within 20 minutes the hive will know that they're queenless. Others would say it's more like 12 hours. But either way, it's a pretty short time. And then they will start selecting, as soon as they realize that they're queenless, they'll start selecting larvae at the correct age to turn into a queen. So they'll turn that larva into a queen by feeding it royal jelly.
Royal jelly, eh?
Royal jelly. Yeah.
And where does that royal jelly come from?
Oh boy. One of the worker bees would make it, but I don't know how they do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
So, yeah. How do you know roughly how long it is from when they start getting fed that to when they hatch?
So a queen will hatch in 16 days.
Oh, okay.
So it only takes 16 days for a queen to be made. The crazy thing is the queen's the biggest of all the bees, and it takes her the least amount of time to hatch.
Yeah.
It's that royal jelly, baby.
It must be.
It's got going.
Yeah, there's actually if you can buy royal jelly, you get a very small vial of it for a lot of money,
So it's
and
expensive
you
stuff.
can eat it. Yeah, and yeah, it's supposed to have amazing health benefits.
Oh.
And I don't know what that all
Should
is.
we all
but
start feeding our babies royal jelly?
You could give it a go. It's gonna make your food costs very expensive.
Yeah, well, you mean, but do you want your child to have a good life? Is my question.
There
know?
you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So did you say there's only one queen bee per hive, or is
That's
there?
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's I'm trying to decide which question here to ask first, but like, is there ever like queen bees that? So you talked about if the queen bee dies, they'll start making a queen bee. Does it ever happen that they just start making a queen bee without the queen dying first?
Yes, they
Okay.
do.
And what
that's
happens then?
Competition, baby.
it
now.
is. And actually, if the queen starts getting old or isn't doing well, they'll start making a new queen. And also, if the hive gets too crowded, they'll start making a new queen. When you talk about competition, I forget how many days before the young queen hatches that the old queen will take off. And so she leaves. She knows that when the new one hatches, it'll be younger, stronger, and faster, and will kill her.
Really?
And so she takes
Interesting.
off. And when she takes off, she takes part of the hive with her. And I don't know how they decide who goes. Typically, it's not the young bees, because I know a lot of times when...
It's all the old heads sticking together with their old
I'm
queen.
guessing.
Yeah.
But that is called swarming when they take off. And it's pretty amazing when they swarm. You can have a swarm the size of a baseball, or you can have the swarm the size of a beach ball.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not quite. Basketball, a little bit bigger than a basketball. And when I say that big, like they surround the queen will fly onto a branch of a tree, and the bees will surround her and stick together in a big clump, and they'll just be hanging there. And yeah, and looking for a new home.
Interesting.
So I don't remember if I was reading about bees or if it was some other insect or something. But would they create more than, so like when they decide to create like another queen,
Yes.
do they make like multiple?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The one hive that I went into and found that they were making queens. I found 13 queen cells.
Okay.
The queen cell, it looks like a peanut, like a unshelled. Do you follow what I'm saying? A
Interesting.
unshelled peanut
Yeah.
hanging on the side of the comb
Okay.
in the brood chamber. Sometimes on the bottom. Yeah.
So what happens with all 13 of those queens? Or
Yeah, that's
whatever
what I was
amount?
wondering.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe whichever one, if one of them hatches, well, one obviously will hatch 1st.
Mm-hmm.
That one will go around and kill the others.
Okay.
If I'm
Oh,
not
wow.
mistaken.
So that's a little race for life here. I
It
see.
is. But if you go in and you can cut the queen cell out and actually take it and start another hive.
Okay.
which is pretty neat too. So you can transfer the queen cell.
And like she'll start from like no bees with her to creating bees, or do you have to?
You'd need to put her into a hive.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And like that hive will just accept her.
yes, if they realize that they're queenless.
Interesting.
So the best method is to go in and split a hive. So you take some of the resources, some of the bees, put them into a box, and 24 hours later, put the queen cell in. And by then they're in the let's make a queen mode. And then you just help them.
So do bees realize they're going extinct and they shouldn't kill each other? Okay.
I doubt
Yeah,
it.
no, yeah.
No. Competition is too great.
Yeah.
Talking about bees going extinct, what things are dangerous for bees?
Oh man. There's a lot of talk about different things, but the one thing that we fight with the most is varroa mites. And I was talking to another beekeeper a few days ago, and he's much more experienced than I am, has quite a few more bees than I do. But yeah, he was saying he feels like he's not a beekeeper. He's all he's doing is fighting mites. That's his job. And so yeah, it's a very big problem that we have.
And what are these mites?
The mites are tiny little. It's almost like a lice. Like we have lice, bees have mites, and it's just a tiny little red bug that latches onto the bees and is sucking the life out of the hive. They multiply very quickly, and when the bees lay an egg and it hatches into a larva, the mite will go in and lay eggs in the larva, like in the same cell as the larva. The crazy thing is then the bees are feeding this larva, so they're feeding the mite as well, and then or the mite's egg, and then they cover the cell. The bees cover the cell, and so then they're protecting the mite's egg and larva, and when it hatches, the mite comes out with it, and so you can hardly get at it. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like it's hard to treat it in that stage,
Right.
and so yeah, the mites have learned to coexist with the bees, but then eventually they'll suck the life or drain the strength out of the hive, and then the bees will die, usually from a virus and I think I'm told that's also when sprays, like different sprays in the crops and things will affect your bees the most, is if they're already weakened. So there's a lot of different opinions there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the
Interesting.
biggest thing we fight with is mites.
Yep.
For sure.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
So, why can we steal their honey? Like, how can it, like,
Yeah. So essentially what we're doing is we're tricking the bees.
okay.
If you have a beehive and you put one box on it, so you'd have your bottom box would be the brood chamber where all the reproduction happens. And then you put one box on it is pretty much all they would need. If they fill that one box with honey, they'll have enough for the winter. If you put that one box on it and leave it there for the entire season, they fill that box and then they'll pretty much stop bringing honey in and they'll slow down. We call that honey clogged. You don't really want that when you're trying to get a lot of honey, because you want to trick them into thinking that they still need to bring more in by adding another box and taking that box off of the top. Does that make sense? And so
Yeah, makes sense.
you're taking their honey and giving them more space, and they're thinking, hey, we've still got to get going for
Pulling a
winter.
fast one on
Yes.
there. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But don't show up the day after you do that because they're not happy.
Oh, right. They're kind of pissed off. They're like,
yes.
wow, what the heck happened here to all our honey?
Yeah. While you're taking it, if it's a nice day, they're not too bad. But the next day, it's not a good idea to show up in the same hive. So
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any misconception about bees that you can think of right offhand?
yeah, probably the one that I think of the most is every bee is dangerous and will sting you. If you go into a hive they'll come after you. Or there are actual guard bees. And yeah, when you go up to a hive, or when I go up to a hive with my smoker, as soon as I put the nozzle of the smoker in the opening of the hive, there's always bees that come out and attack it right away. They're sitting there, they're ready for that. And they're not just watching for me, they're watching for other insects, other bees coming in, wasps, and they're going to attack. They're going to guard the hive. And so, yeah, that is when you get stung, is when you're going into their hive. If you see a bee on a flower, the only way it'll sting you is if you grab it and make it feel trapped, and then it'll sting you, or possibly could sting you.
Yep.
Even then, there's a pretty good chance it won't.
Okay.
But it's when you go into when you're invading their territory,
Yeah.
that's when they'll sting. So I think that's a misconception.
It's often other yellow things with wings that are stinging you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the less desirable things.
Yeah.
Do bees die after they sting you?
They do.
They do. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as they sting you, their stinger is left in your skin, and they rip the stinger out of the back of their abdomen. No, not their out of their bee. They leave the stinger behind, and it kills the bee.
Okay. Interesting.
They bleed to death, I guess is what it is. So yeah.
Interesting. Is there anything really unusual that you've seen with bees that's like stuck in your head?
That's a tricky one. There's two things that stand out to me. One was I was going through a hive and found a queen cell. And sometimes they'll have cells that you're not sure if they're any good. Like, is it a real queen cell? Is it not a real queen cell? And this one had just a wee little hole. I was like, I don't think it's any good. So I took my hive tool and just picked at it a little bit. Well, yeah, it opened up and a queen came running out. And that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I've done that with other worker bees. But there's something about seeing a queen come out of a cell. That was pretty neat. And the difference between the two is your queen is your life of your hive. You don't have the queen, you have nothing. And so whenever I'm looking through a hive and see the queen, it kind of takes your breath away. It's like, there she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that stands out to me was showing up at a yard and seeing them starting to swarm and then sitting there and watching them go. And that is amazing and depressing all at the same time. Amazing in that you've got bees just, for lack of better words, bubbling out of the bottom of the hive. It just looks like someone took a leaf blower in the one end and is just blowing them out. Like, it's just thick, and they're just swarming, and around you it's just this loud buzzing. There's thousands of bees in the air right around the yard. And then, I guess the queen must be waiting for the queen to come out. And when the queen comes out, they take off, and it's just this cloud of bees going through the air.
Interesting.
And it's pretty neat to watch. It'd be more fun to watch if it was someone else's bee yard.
Yeah. Coming to your place.
Coming to landing on my tree somewhere, right? So I can catch it. But, there's just something amazing about that.
Yeah. Interesting.
The other thing that stands out to me, I just thought of another one, was in the fall, the worker bees will actually go and kill the drones or the males, and they'll haul them out of the hive. And a couple weeks ago, I was in a hive, and I seen them dragging the drones out of the hive.
Nice.
And so, yeah.
So how do they kill them without dying?
I'm thinking, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's more starvation than it is killing them.
Yeah.
I think they force them out of the hive, and then they're not allowed back in.
Then those bodyguard bees are ready to beat them up if in case they come back.
I actually think that's the case.
That's pretty cool.
And the only strange bee that the guard bees will let in is a bee coming loaded, like coming with nectar,
Oh.
or pollen. So if if a strange bee shows up at their hive, if it's bringing food for the hive,
Yeah.
bringing food,
Yeah.
they'll gladly let them in.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
anyone else, they will not let in.
That's like a life lesson right there.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Come with food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering here, what's the show and tell going on? Can we get to the show
Well,
and tell?
I was just going to say, with that in mind, I
Okay.
do have some honeycomb here.
Yeah, let's have a look.
And I'll just grab it. So I was
No, that's all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
So I was cutting honeycomb this morning and found this one. It's a little bit of a strange piece, but it will give you an idea of just, I don't know, Tyler, did you want to look at it there?
What makes you think it's strange?
So typically it won't have holes in it. And that one there, they've, so what we started with that honeycomb was just a sheet of wax foundation. And then the bees built out either side from the middle, if that makes sense. So the middle of the comb here, they built the cells out, and then they filled it with honey. And there's actually builder bees that are making the wax. Wax is really strong, and it's in the octagon shape. And I think it's 100 grams of honey can hold up to 4 kilograms. No, 100 grams of wax can hold up to 4 kilograms of honey, which is pretty extreme. Like
When they build it their way.
when they build it their way.
Yeah.
Now, what's strange about this is there must have been too much space right in this area, or they felt there was too much space to just build a single layer. And so they actually built a tunnel. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but there's a hole here and a hole at the bottom, and the same on the other side. They've built tunnels and made different layers and cavities.
Interesting.
But yeah, go ahead and
I don't know how to go ahead. Do
Yeah,
you mind
just-
showing us?
yeah. So
Okay.
you can just cut into it wherever you want to. I'm gonna make a mess of this,
All right. Sounds good.
but yeah, just go ahead and cut a piece off of it. And I don't know how big a piece you want,
Intriguing.
but yeah,
I've
then
never
you
seen
can
honeycomb before.
just go ahead and grab a piece and chew on it.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm really game for this. I'm actually really excited. Here, Corey, dig in there, pal.
Like honey from the comb.
Now
Can
the
you swallow-
wax,
Swallow it all.
you can, or you can just chew on the wax. It's like gum, and when you get sick of chewing on it, you can spit it out or swallow it.
My goodness, that stuff's fantastic. Actually.
Yeah, so that's
Is that not great?
Where have I been?
I know, right?
This was harvested today.
well, I took it out of the box today, but it was a number of weeks ago that it was taken out of the hive.
Fresh though.
It's fairly fresh, about as fresh as you're gonna get this time of year. But yeah, I'm good right now.
I'd take another slice. This
Yeah,
stuff is
help
incredible.
yourself. Yeah. No, and I was trying to think of different honey to. There are different flavors of honey, and the reason for the flavors is it's not that we're adding something to it. There are flavored honeys, but usually the bees go for different flowers, maybe depending on what flowers are available or depending where you put your hives. And so there are, because of that, honey changes flavor. And that's extremely frustrating as a beekeeper because it's hard to keep a consistent product. But it's really neat to think about different flowers dictating how the honey tastes.
So
Yeah.
could you intentionally like plant certain flowers in the area of your hives
For sure.
to try to get like a
What's even
consistent-
easier is to move the hives to the flowers.
fair enough.
Because it's if you're if there's a certain area or a farmer planted canola or buckwheat or you name it, it's easier to move the hives to the field and encourage
You
the
okay
bees.
there, Tyler?
Swallowing that wax went down a little hard. I tried to swallow too large of a bee. Good thing I have water on hand. Sorry,
Yeah.
keep going.
Hey, if you're choking, we can help you. Let us know.
Nah, I'm good now. Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I had some buckwheat honey, and I brought some of that along.
Should
And
I grab some spoons?
You
or
could try, yeah, or stick a finger in there,
stick a
whatever you want to
finger?
do that.
All right. Buckwheat.
Sorry, what is
buckwheat.
this exactly?
So it's buckwheat is a crop that farmers grow, and it gives your honey an interesting flavor.
No
And
kidding.
some people like it, and some people can't stand it. This
I'm
is
trying to think like what I could compare that to.
this is a mild flavored buckwheat, so it's not super strong.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
But you get some buckwheat.
You notice it
that's-
tastes different than regular honey, or you're just like not used to honey?
I'm just not used to honey. Like it tastes pretty similar to honey to me, in my opinion.
But, like,
But
Okay.
my taste buds are pretty bad.
I
So.
would say it tastes a lot different than like the honey we had from the comb.
It's
Yeah.
not as sweet, or what?
No.
Or at least it's not as sweet to me.
Well, it has almost more of a, oh boy, I don't know, like a slight like molasses taste or something almost
It
to
does. That's a good way to describe it. And so yeah, and this is a mild flavored buckwheat. You can
Yeah.
get some that it looks like motor oil, like used
Interesting.
motor oil, and it's so strong that it makes you grimace when you eat it. Like it's, and so yeah,
it. Cool.
but it is pretty neat how, yeah, depending on what the bees are,
Yep.
what flower the bees are going after, it determines what your honey tastes
Interesting.
like.
Very good. And what does like Tyler wants to start up a hive and make some bees? What? How does he do that?
Yeah, the easiest thing to do is go and buy a nuke, and a nucleus would be, it's like 2,000 to 4,000 bees, and you buy it's a queen with 2,000 to 4,000 worker bees, and you go and put it into the box that you've bought. So you'll have to buy the woodware and frames and the bees.
Yep.
And with the bees, you also get some honey and some brood. And so it's pretty much a miniature hive. And you put that into a box. And yeah, hope for the best.
How much does that cost roughly?
A nuke would be anywhere from $200 to $300
Okay.
for those bees.
What about all the equipment? What do y'all need?
Oh boy. It depends what you think you all need and where you buy it. But typically, just doing some quick math here, probably about $200 for the woodware for one hive.
Yep.
But then that could last your entire lifetime
Yep.
if you take care of it, or parts of it will.
Yep.
The frames won't, but yeah.
You got a little more here. Do you want to?
Yeah, I
us what
wasn't sure
those
what
things
all
are?
to bring, but
Hey, I'm
You just
not-
brought it all, so
no, it's not all.
okay. No, sorry, no. I'm,
Just the
I'm-
main parts.
Yeah, some bits and bobs.
So yeah, I just brought what I typically would take to the yard,
Okay.
and if I forget one of these three things, I might as well go home again,
Okay. Yeah.
because I won't be successful. The one thing is a veil, and it's just goes over your head. You're welcome to try it on if you'd like. It probably doesn't smell that great,
I'll just
but,
take a good look at it here.
but essentially all it is a hat with screen around it, and yeah.
Take a good gander there, Corey. Yeah, it's like show and tell
Very
at
good.
school.
Yeah.
See, I see you got like a slightly different mesh on the one part of it than the other. Is that the
Oh
front?
yeah, that's the front.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just see better through it. Man.
that's correct.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Tie it off around your neck or down
This one doesn't tie around your neck. There's arm straps that pull it down over your or down against your chest.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. The other thing you're gonna want is a smoker, and smoke just calms the bees down, and it actually makes them go back into the hive and start eating honey. Is actually what they'll start doing. And it also makes them move away, just like you guys at a campfire. If the smoke's coming your direction, you pivot around the fire. Same idea. So the smoker's quite important. It can make your visit in a hive pleasant, or if you forget it, terrible. Because when the guard bees sound the alarm, everyone's after you.
Okay.
If you don't have the smoke, but
Yeah.
the smoke just calms them down. The other thing you'll need is a hive tool or some kind of a pry bar to get into the hive.
Yep.
The bees glue everything together with propolis, and it is solid. There are times that I've never bent a hive tool, a good one, but I've tried using other bars and I've bent them. So it is, it's it's very secure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Very cool. Any other big questions you've got for him, Tyler?
I don't know. I think I'm pretty good. I think you covered a lot of good topics there.
So
I know a lot more about bees than I did before. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
good.
And that's good.
I asked her Instagram people what. There's good. You know, we've got a bee guy coming on here. What
You did
kind of
ask?
questions?
When did you ask that?
Oh, I put it on the story like yesterday.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
I didn't see it.
I got 2 responses.
Unbelievable. We take 2
Yeah.
responses. All right, let's go.
All right. One question they had was beekeeping something you always dreamed of doing before you got into it, or?
Okay. No, it wasn't. My uncle has been a beekeeper for the last 40 years, maybe a little more than that. And I was always scared of the bees. And I remember as a kid, going to his place and there was bees everywhere, and it scared me. I wasn't that interested in them. I always thought it was neat. Like whenever he'd tell me different things about the hive, something as simple as, how the bees find nectar, right? Like that's so neat. Like I wish I could go look and see some of this for myself, but I was too scared. And funny enough, the thing that helped me build up courage to go into a hive was watching YouTube videos of guys working with bees.
Interesting.
So yeah, it wasn't something that I had dreamt about for a long time, but I always thought it was neat.
Yep. Very good. And the last question, a little less serious, was what's buzzing?
What's buzzing?
You don't have to respond to that
Yeah.
unless you've got something that
Hey,
you...
shout out to you for replying, though. We
Yes.
appreciate that. Yeah. for
Yeah.
sure.
But so,
Cool.
yeah, that was it. I think this has been really fun. I've been learned a lot of things. I think Tyler learned
I
a
learned
lot.
so many things, and I actually found that all very interesting.
Hopefully
Good
our
seeing how-
viewers learn some things about bees as well.
we're now an educational podcast.
If they want to buy your honey, where do they find you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the spot that we sell most of our honey is at the Kitchener Market, Kitchener Farmers Market. We do have honey at home, obviously, but it's not that we have a store.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
Very
people can
good.
come by the farm as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you got a quote for us to close out.
Quote. I thought long and hard about this one.
Yeah.
I'm not very creative.
Okay.
That's all right. We've had some very uncreative quotes
Yeah.
here too.
But the one that I thought of the most was not my quote, but it was I think it was about 8 years ago. I was talking to an older fella. He was in his 80s, and we were just talking about making different decisions and where you go in life and what you do in life. And I don't believe he was a Christian at all, and that doesn't matter. But yeah, he was just saying, he's done a lot of neat things, but how do I say this without messing up his quote? He has more regrets of things that he didn't do than regrets of things that he did.
Interesting.
And so some days I feel like I do a terrible job of living out that quote
Yeah.
or doing things when I have the opportunity to do
Yeah.
them. But I guess that's where the quote is so fitting.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have a lot of regrets, but it has motivated me to try other things.
Yep.
Try new things. So
It's a fantastic quote.
It's a great way to end off. All those people that are curious about bees, go get
start
some.
a hive,
Yeah.
guys. Come on. Listen, we don't want bees to go extinct, so start hives. Everyone. That's your homework for the next week.
Yeah.
but be ready to go after the mites.
Yeah.
That's going to be your main job.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Well, hey,
All right.
thank you so much for
you're welcome.
coming on.
It's been fun.
It has been.
It was great. And Tyler, do you want to tell everyone goodbye?
Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you want, subscribe if you want, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.
See ya.